Okay, so in this big idea video, we're going to start talking about actually conducting an oral history. Like, what do you do to meet someone, talk to somebody, and then record that conversation to be used at a later date? And it's important to remember that the oral history itself is not just the interview. The interview is one segment of a bigger issue, a bigger topic. So whenever we talk about oral histories, we have kind of the pre-interview phase, the interview itself, and then the post-interview phase. So this video is going to talk about these different phases in order to kind of give you an idea of how it works, how an oral history project works, maybe some questions to ask during your oral history, and some of the more important things to remember, aspects of oral history and the oral history interview process that are important to us. So let's talk about first about the pre-interview phase. So in most cases, you're going to have an idea of what you want to research. Some topic out there that has interested you to the point where you want to find people related to that topic and then talk to them about it. So that's pretty basic. That's kind of the big overarching idea, is that find a topic that's interesting, a subject is interesting, and then find people to talk about that subject who have some sort of relationship with it. Now, once you've found your people, what you want to do is not go into your interview cold. You want to have an idea, an understanding of what you want to talk about. You want to know who you're talking to. So in the pre-interview process, we're kind of doing some of this. In the pre-interview process, you want to conduct background research on the topic itself, and you also want to conduct some background research on the people you're going to be talking to. So how you do that, background research on the topic itself is like how you would normally perform any sort of historical research. You would read about it, you would read about the subject, you would watch videos about the subject to get an idea of the overarching issues at the time. Let's say World War II, and you wanted to know, or you wanted to conduct an interview with veterans of the D-Day landings, of the Normandy invasion. What you would do, obviously, is bone up your research a little bit on D-Day itself, on the Normandy landings. So that way, whenever you go to talk to these people, you're not ignorant of it. You understand what's going on, so you can have a nice, fluid conversation about the topic. So background research is key to understanding the larger issue. Now, whenever you make contact with your potential participants and they've agreed to participate, what you want to do next is reach out to them before the day of the interview. You want to talk with them, kind of get to know them a little bit, either through an email or a phone call or something like that, just to introduce yourselves. That way, again, you're not going to go in cold with a stranger, and you're not going to talk to a stranger. Now, before then, if you talked beforehand or have communicated beforehand, you guys have a bit of a rapport with each other, which will make things a little more comfortable, a little more trusting whenever you actually have the interview itself. And it's sort of in this pre-interview phase where you can ask a few basic questions of the participant to get some of their background. You can ask them their name, their occupation, if they were in the military, what branch of the military, where were they in the Normandy landings if you're doing a World War II oral history project. Things like that to kind of get to know a person a little bit more. And at the same time, you need to make the participant aware of what the project's about. So tell them about the project, what you hope to do, the questions you want to ask. In fact, it's really important to give them a copy of the potential questions you may ask them on the day of the interview. This is going to help them a lot. That way they're not, on the spot during the interview trying to remember things. At least with the questions ahead of time, they can think about some things to help jog their memories and get their ideas in order on interview day. So always be sure to kind of give them a copy of the questions you're going to ask on the day of the interview, even if that questionnaire is not complete. What else about the actual pre-interview process? Make sure too that the participant understands that their interview is going to be used. It's going to be used for research. It's going to be publicly accessible, and they need to be okay with that. And you need to give them a waiver, which is normally supplied for you, kind of a legal waiver that they sign before they give their interview. And this waiver, this notification, gives them, or gives you rather, the authorization to conduct the interview and to use the materials of the interview, and allows your organization, whether it's a college or a museum or a nonprofit, to to keep that interview and use it as you see fit. That's important. It's a legal aspect to all of this. Once that interview is conducted and that waiver is signed, the person that gave the interview to you no longer has any ownership over that interview. It is yours to use and to store and preserve as you see fit. So it's important that everybody understands that before you begin the actual interview itself. Now, it's not to say you can't, do some things afterwards if the interviewer or the participant requests it. But that's kind of the general idea, is that once the interview is in the can, that it is yours to use as you see fit. So that's kind of the pre-interview process, background research, getting to know your interview subject a little bit, introducing yourselves and that sort of thing. And once you've done that, then you're ready for the interview day. And we'll talk about that next.